I'd like to call the March 11th, 2014 Committee of the Whole to order. It's approximately 6:02 p.m. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Williams?
Here.
Councilwoman Fairclough?
Here.
Councilwoman Wallman?
Here.
Councilman Burgess?
Here.
Councilman Maldonado?
Here.
Vice Mayor Shelley?
Here.
Mayor Porter?
Here. Any deletions?
No, but I would like to request an executive session in the case Pritchett versus City of Homestead. If the clerk could schedule that with Mr. Staton. Thank you.
Okay, tab 1.
Mayor,
Go ahead.
this is, we were a little confused in terms of the discussion we had on early voting when you all discussed that issue. And so we just wanted to get clarification on the bond referendum. Did you want early voting or didn't you? Just so that we're clear on that. Because Elizabeth and I, we went back, we looked at it, and it looked like you said no, but it wasn't very clear. So we just wanted to get a direction from you.
We did have some discussion about cost, the additional cost to early voting.
Yes.
I have the same
It's
trouble.
on. It's on. I can hear you.
Okay. The cost is $3,200 per day for early voting.
So it's $3,200 per day. I don't remember what the outcome was. I kind of felt like it was.
There was a question from one of the members that is early voting included in the language of the resolution, and the answer was no. And then nobody said anything, so we weren't sure if that meant you all agreed it shouldn't be in there. Some others had given Elizabeth some feedback that maybe this is something that you all wanted. So we just wanted to get a clear direction so that there was no confusion. The election supervisor needs an answer by tomorrow.
By tomorrow morning.
So we just wanted to make sure what your intent was.
Right now there'll be the availability of absentee ballot that
Correct.
will be mailed to your home, and then as of right now, the day of the election will be a walk-in vote only,
Correct.
right?
Yes, sir.
Any comments from council? Anyone different to that position?
To what?
To absentee, we currently have the absentee ballot that will be mailed out from the county, and then the day of the election is the only time we would have walk-up. That's what we have set up now, correct, Manager?
Yes.
So no early voting?
That's what,
Well, I think this is such an important issue.
Absolutely.
You do not finagle this like that. You would make this every opportunity for persons to be able to vote, and so there's no cost that should be associated with this. I'm trying to say, because it's such a vital, important issue. Early voting, you look at the last election, even though we don't expect much turnout, but was almost half of a third of what we took in as voters. So I don't know if we want to. I would not be supportive of not having early voting.
okay, you're saying early voting should be included. Mr. Tricia?
Yes, I think this is a very important and critical election, and we have to maximize all opportunities to allow the electorate to vote. So I am in favor of early voting because I recognize the value in providing this opportunity to our residents to make a very important decision.
Okay. Ms. Waldman?
I just had a question. The $3,200 buys us unlimited days of early voting, or how many days?
That's per day.
Oh, per day. I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. Originally, I had told Elizabeth when she asked me that I'll go with the majority. I had originally said it'd be great if we could do it Saturday and then Sunday afternoon, but I just found out that Sunday is Mother's Day. So probably not going to get our bang for our buck there, you know. So probably Friday and Saturday, or Thursday and Friday and Saturday. I mean, I don't know if you were planning it.
Take Mom to vote. It's the perfect opportunity.
You can save a lot of money on brunch. Bring a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Right.
But I mean, I just wanted to point that out, that Mother's Day is Sunday, and I don't think that would be a productive day, unless Jimmy, you may think the churches might make that a productive day. I may be totally wrong, so.
You know,
I'm sorry, Councilman,
I
not
just
Jim.
think that, no, I've been called worse. I just believe that it's just too important.
Yeah.
And if, you know, we say $3,200, I mean, we spend a lot of money around here for other things, so.
Do you think that, I'm sorry, Mayor,
Go
do you think that Sunday would be a productive day? I mean,
I don't know. It's the election's in May, and I just think that every opportunity will.
and I agree that
This-
this ballot, this election is going to be won in absentee and early voting. I really believe that, especially absentee. So you have to take every advantage, but I guess, are you asking, Mayor, how many days?
Well,
I mean,
we-
I'm open to whatever the majority wants.
I got to get Mr. Monzalo, and then
Sorry, I
we'll
just wanna
come,
let you
we'll
know.
ask the question first, are we going to do early voting, and then we'll decide how many days and what days, so.
So, you know, I'm agreeing with Councilwoman Waldman where the 13th falls on the Tuesday, and so Mother's Day not working for anyone because everyone has to run around and we have multiple mother-in-laws and all that. So, and so I figured if we did Friday or Saturday, I think if we cover 2 days, I think that would work. I'd be okay with that. You know, something like a week or 3 days, more than 3 days, I wouldn't go with it. 2 days, I could get behind it. I mean, it'd give us at least those extra days, Friday and Saturday. I would support that.
Okay, so right now, let's just say, who's in favor of at least having early voting? Or, so we got, who's opposed? Anyone opposed? Okay, so early voting it is.
Okay, can I just mention one other thing as you think about whether you do Sunday or not? This is just as a, trying to be careful with my language, but if in fact Mother's Day is on that Sunday, many people go to church on Mother's Day, and right after church, there may be some activity with the churches to try to generate some support for voting, and you may have an audience on Sunday that might help get more people to the polls. So I just consider that as something as well.
Let's be considerate of the poor poll workers too, though.
Question?
Well, that's a good point. You know, the people that would have to be working that day would be working on Mother's Day, so.
Just one more question. The location of the early voting day is going to be held where? Green.
Community Center.
Here in the community center.
So one location here at the community center for early voting only. Fair enough? One location only for early voting, which would be here at the community center.
Yeah.
Question now is, Sunday seems like a really bad day to make a poll worker sit here all day long during Mother's Day. And all we're trying to do is provide people that work out of the area the opportunity to show up and vote. If they go early and they come home late, sometimes it's hard to get to by 7 o'clock. So if we wanted to do Friday and Saturday, that would probably be about the best thing that I could see. That gives your day, some people with a day off and another work day. So, I mean, is 2 days enough?
I recommend 3 days. It's already a busy week. Friday and Saturday, you may have the residents busy preparing for Mother's Day. So I think Thursday, Friday, Saturday,
Okay, so we got Thursday, Friday,
Maybe
Saturday.
better.
Ms. Waldman, and then we'll come back to that, okay?
if not Sunday.
Mr. Eckloff took the words out of my mouth, because I know for me, I'll be going out of town. So, you're right, I think Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. But I think we should discuss, do the hours matter, Ms. Sewell?
We, for the general election and the primary election, we do Thursday from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m., and the same for Friday, and then Saturday, it's usually from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m.
Okay, somebody make a motion for those 3 days and those times.
I'll move that motion.
Okay, is there a second? Okay. All in favor of the motion? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, you got it.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
I'm glad we checked, because we didn't want to make a mistake on that one.
Okay, item 2 is red light cameras. Staff report on that, or you just want to, it's just a discussion, okay? So, I'll start. I've been getting a few letters from disgruntled people that have been tagged with a $158 rolling right-hand turn, and I wanted to bring a discussion forward to council because it is a code violation where we established a city code that said it's illegal to roll through a right-hand turn as a code. So that's where we're allowed to ticket the vehicle, not ticket the person driving the car. The problem is, and I'll pass a couple of letters around to you. One specifically, the guy says, you know, it's been nice, but I won't be shopping in Homestead anymore. You're welcome to look at these if you're interested. So, and I wanted, you know, so the discussion point was, and I asked the manager and I asked the attorney, because it is a city code, could we eliminate, the question would be, could we eliminate only the right-hand turn as a code violation? And then it would be up to the police department if someone ran it, but it wouldn't be a city code violation, it would be a moving citation. So they still have the ability to ticket right-hand runners of the red light, but it is a code. Only if they catch them, exactly. The camera catches them now, and it catches the car. It doesn't catch the person. If they catch a person running a red light, they would cite the person driving the car, not the car making the motion. So there's revenues involved. The information is there. It's not a huge loss in revenue, but I know most of you probably saw the spot on Channel 4 where they were talking specifically about right-hand turn violations, and Homestead was used over and over again. So, Vice Mayor, you had a question. That's just the premise of why I asked for this discussion, so I could get some input from council members. Vice Mayor, and then Mr. Burgess.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't have an issue with that. I mean, I'd actually be happy just getting rid of the whole red light cameras altogether. I've never been a supporter of them. I don't like them. I don't think half our residents like them. So, you know, I'm okay getting rid of the cameras as a whole, but as a fallback, I'm okay with just subtracting this right-hand turn violation. So either one of those is fine with me. I don't have a problem with that.
Mr. Burgess.
Yeah, well, and I called over and asked some questions. And if somebody from the police department, correct me if I'm wrong, we don't ticket somebody or enforce that violation on a right turn unless they're about 12 miles an hour or more when they make that turn. Is that about right, sir?
Sorry, Councilman Burgess, it actually was 12 miles per hour. It's presently, just a short while ago, was moved up to 15 miles per hour.
Okay. So we're not giving somebody a citation that's doing what is required by law, because required by law is you're supposed to stop altogether. Yeah, and we give the people the ability to go 14 miles an hour through the light, which creates, if we're in true safety mode, which is, I think, is if we went back and looked at Campbell Drive and Highway 1 or wherever we've got them, I think our accidents are down and safety as a whole in those intersections is up. Yet we've still got people, pedestrians that are crossing more and more every day as we see people, there's bus stops right there. And if we're allowing people to turn at 15 miles an hour, then they should be happy that they're not getting a ticket already. So to me, I would think they need to be left in place. Highway 1 and Campbell Drive is a very, very busy intersection with a busy bus stop right there, and like service stations, people coming in and out. And I mean, if we're allowing them to go 15 miles an hour before we even give them any kind of notice, I think that we, as part of the city, are doing our due diligence and being fair to everybody out there. And I'll leave it at that.
Mr. Maldonado and then Mr. Williams.
Thank you. I'll start off with this, just my story and what do I think of the cameras. I recall after I opened up my business in 2008 that I kind of, you know, my daily drive, my daily commute back home was making a right-hand turn on the US 1 and 312th Street. And, you you know, being a business owner, family, you know, just one day I was in thought of, you know, being more responsible. And the reason I thought that is because before the light camera got there, I was always kind of rolling through that. And I thought one day, I need to stop at this crosswalk here. Because I remember that I was sitting in a case, and they got the driver on a technicality where it was hitting a pedestrian on a bike, and the person failed to stop. And so I said, let me be responsible, because now as a business owner and, you know, all these things that could happen, let me start stopping at this like I should. And I know the difficulty of that corner there is that we can't see so far. And so I got into the habit of just stopping and stopping and stopping. Well, one day I was about to roll through it. Caught myself at the last moment, slammed the brakes, and lo and behold, there was a big truck, and of course here in Homestead we have a lot of these 4x4 trucks, and out pops a little a woman with a baby in a stroller. And I said, had I not already started training myself and stopping at that, which I'm supposed to do by law, I remember when I read my book, by law I'm supposed to stop there. Had I not followed the law, I would have probably destroyed the family, killed the baby, and put myself in debt and regret, you know, for the rest of my life. And so from that day on, before the light camera was there, I just said, let me be responsible, because we are supposed to be responsible behind the steering wheel. And the law says that we need to stop at that light. And so when the traffic camera came on, I was actually a fan of it, because I thought, what if it was my wife, or what if it was my kids? And I actually remember being 13 years old, driving down 312th Street, right off of where Lowe's is. I remember one day I was riding bike with a friend of mine. I was on the handlebars. No, my friend was on the handlebars, and the car didn't stop. He just rolled and knocked us right over, bent my tires. So, you know, and especially today now with all these gadgets that we're using, and we're always busy on the cars, you know, I think this camera, I see it as kind of that law enforcement officer that's kindly on duty. Yeah, I just read your letter. It is RoboCop. But it's an eye on the street that's continually, you know, the people are going to stop. Now, I know many of us don't like the fact that they stop and they don't move anywhere, but I get it. And I'm actually a fan, and I don't have a problem saying it, because, you know, I want safety for my residents. And I think that this does that, because the moment that we remove that, people are going to start rolling again through that light, because you gave them a go. And if we have a fatality or an accident after we've lifted something that was there, I think it's going to be egg in our face. Matter of fact, after I saw this item on the agenda, and I went online and did some research, I saw that the city, New York City, the governor now is putting the speeding traffic cameras. And, you know, it was because there was such a high fatality of young children walking to school and getting hit. And so, you know, there was an effort to put it there. So it works. And I think that, like I'm sure the report says, that the numbers are down. If the first time you get a ticket and it hits you in your pocket, you're going to stop. And at the end of the day, what we're trying to do is provide safety. So I'm in for it. I really won't want to see it, especially in that corner, be removed. And you know, it's very simple, like Councilman Burgess just said. If you stop at that, and I do it all the time now, you make your stop, count 3 seconds, move slowly forward 12 to 15 miles an hour, you'll be fine. You will never get a ticket. I do it every day. I'll leave it there for now.
Perfect. Thank you. Mr. Williams?
Yeah, thank you so very much. What is the state legislature is doing with these red light cameras? Because that will be, I know it's in bills and committees now, so that could possibly affect the impact of the economic portion of these red light cameras, where right now, almost the state will get, it will get almost 100% of the total revenue, and the city will be left cost to administer the special master that does the hearings and all of that, and attorney fees that goes along with that. And so I put, you know, as a safety issue, as my colleague has just brought up, but then as a financial impact to the city, where's the legislator with this issue with these cameras? Because as we decide upon, we can be deciding upon something that at any point we won't get any dollars from at all if this state legislature has its way with this bill.
I don't have an answer for that. Obviously, it's a bill in play, and nobody can really predict what's going to happen. I can tell you that it appears as if the cities kind of got suckered into this thing all across the state, where they saw this bonanza for revenue. They started putting the cameras in, and the state wanted in and started grabbing everything.
Right.
So, you know, I guess it could go either way. I know the League of Cities has a position. They don't want any change. What's going to end up happening, I don't know. There's a lot of people that don't like the cameras. There's a bunch of people that like them, and I don't know.
Yeah. Okay.
Mr. Burgess, let me ask you a question with regards to the league. Is the league's position about the loss of revenues as to the position that they're taking, opposing the state taking over the red light camera? Are you sure? Are you familiar with their position?
Vaguely. I mean, we've had some discussions, and yes, they are trying to keep the state, out of it,
Right.
and allowing the cities to do as they're doing now. And I believe that the legislation that's up there now, as Mr. Williams was talking about, is going to be eventually to help the cities out, if
Help the cities
to keep the state out of it.
Because I know the numbers that.
Excuse me? Yes.
So I know currently the ticket value is $158.
Right.
The state gets 83, and we get 75, and then we pay the traffic
ATS, right.
ATS, whatever that fee is. So the state's just getting a windfall. I think
Correct.
that's probably where
What we're trying to take back.
Okay.
And I learned my lesson the hard way with Mayor Wallace down there. He got me one day. So,
Ms. Fairclough, anything? So it's just for discussion. You know, I've had some people come to me and with, I feel like it's a little unfair that we as a city take the bad rap for being the money grabbers, and at the end of the day, the state's taking the lion's share with absolutely no cost and no ill feelings towards the state. So, it was just we don't have to do anything with it. I just wanted to have a sense of where the council was, because the letters have been coming to me, pretty much. John,
and Mayor, I've received those letters since the day that things were put in. But I can say the number of letters that I think that I've received is very minimal. I would say probably not more than 15 over the going on 7 years that I've sat here. Few phone calls about it. But I know that those cameras at Campbell and Campbell and 1 and stuff have solved crimes for our city. They've protected innocent people, and they've got guilty people. So I think that they're a good thing, especially on that intersection. And I mean, I'm not looking at it as a revenue maker at all for the city. To me, it's 100% safety, because as you stated, the revenue that we end up with nowadays is nothing compared to what projections were and all. But I think the good that comes out of them is still where it was when we started.
And just piggybacking off of what he just said, I made a note here. It says, this is not about, again, I don't want to go from a report from any news station. I'd rather have a report from our staff, the manager, and maybe our traffic sergeant, Tommy Sherman, and maybe we need to get a little bit more educated on what the numbers are and how it's impacting the city. But I don't think this is a money grabbing, as they say. They like to add those words, money grabbing, and it's very simple. If you stop like you're supposed to, no one's going to take your money. And so I don't want this to be thought as a money making, and we're talking about lives here again, safety. And so I'm a supporter of them, and it's hey, I don't have no skin in the game. They're not paying me $1. It's just the safety of the families. When you lose a family member or the family member gets hurt, that's everything. And so you can't put a dollar amount on lives. So something like this, Yeah, I might not like it, I know other folks don't like it, but it's very simple. You get in a car, be responsible, and hit your brakes. That's it.
Ms. Waldman?
No, well, they pretty much said everything I was going to say. I mean, we have solved crimes with these cameras, and I remember the discussion before when we talked about it. There were many cities who had these cameras. I mean, I can't remember which neighboring cities. I know Florida City does,
Maybe
because I happen to know that.
Gables.
But I remember when the warning, when it was first put in, and it was just people were getting used to it. I came up on that particular red light, and I didn't realize that you couldn't cross that line. There's a line, a white line there, and because I couldn't see, so I pulled up. I stopped, but I still got a. Thank goodness it was in that preliminary time,
Warning.
because Mayor Wallace. My twin got me, but you know, I understand what Councilman Maldonado is saying. You know, now I'm much more aware of coming up on a turn. I'm much more aware of that. So, you know, it would be interesting to look back again and find out how many cities in Dade actually use these cameras.
That was not the intent.
Oh,
It was
okay.
my intent was not to bring this to a boil. My intent was to ask the council to talk to you about, you know, the way that I see an opportunity for us to lessen the blow of a $158 ticket on these people that are slowly rolling through a right-hand turn. That was the intent. So we don't need to go back and get any numbers. I think there's clear position. Everybody assumes that this is a safety issue, not a dollar issue. So we'll just move on.
But Mayor, may I ask a question? For tourists and people that, you know, are maybe used to the traffic rules in Georgia or in South Carolina or whatever, do we have a sign that says red light cameras in most? Do we have that sign? I've never noticed that.
Well, you know, Major Kennedy, I know there's been some discussion prior to us talking about this of having some additional signage attached to the side of the street, because like everyone's saying, people have become afraid to move once they get in the right-hand turn lane, because where is the cutoff point? Where do I get the ticket? So I think there was some conversation about additional signage. Can somebody?
Yes, sir. Mr. Mayor, actually, the chief and I met earlier today. He briefed me on that, and he had requested some signage, additional signage be ordered, so it would not cause the traffic backup that it sometimes causes with the people panicking and staying there on the solid red throughout the entire process till they obtained a green light. So some signage has been requested and is in the process of being ordered.
So we may be.
That would be great, Mayor.
We may be getting closer to some sort of a solution anyway. I appreciate the conversation. I feel that it's never any council person's fear to ask each other a question and get some honest discussion. So with that being said, everything stays the same? No? Yes, sir?
Just one comment if you're done.
Go right ahead.
I think, you know, if we were guilty probably isn't the greatest word, but guilty of giving people tickets for going 2 and 3 miles an hour through it, then I think we would need to address it. But if we're allowing them now 15 miles an hour, I mean, that's still a significant speed that people are going and making a right-hand turn on it. They're allowable with the grace of the city of Homestead and its traffic master.
Right. And
so I feel that is, you know, not a legitimate beef for if somebody comes and says, well, I got one, and, you know, you look at the videotape and they're going 16 miles an hour. That's not stopping at a red light.
No, I agree. And I think there's been some flexibility at the state level that clarified the law as to safe and whatever their terminology was, that you had to stop, but then you could roll through at a safe speed. So we may be getting closer to it. Yes, sir.
Just one last item, and it has to do with education. If maybe we could reach out to, you know, one of these companies or organization that has information that explains this, or whether we join in with them, and the idea is to educate them to that they understand that it's okay, just stop at the light, count 3 seconds, and then move forward cautiously, and that's what the law says. So, I mean, I think it's something that we should know, but if we don't, if we need to educate our residents, then I think we did a good thing. And so maybe we could look at that as a component moving forward. And, you know, maybe I'll reach out to one of these organizations, to the city manager, and see if they have anything like that that's helpful for the cities. So just a thought. Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to tab 3. That is the, what is that?
February 11th minutes.
Minutes. Is there a motion to approve? Is there a second? Moved and second. All in favor? Motion carries. Tab 4.
Mr. Mayor, you may want to take 4, 5, and
4, 5, and 6. I'm sorry. Yes,
together,
4, 5, and 6
which
are all
are
insurance.
renewals of our property insurance for the city-owned property, property insurance for the power plant, and terrorism insurance policy. They're 3.
Anyone opposed to taking 4, 5, and 6 together? Okay, go ahead, Mr. Attorney.
I've just read them. They're
You
fine.
did. Okay, so
Need a motion on all 3.
is there a second?
Second.
Any questions from council? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Let me catch you up here. Tab 7.
Is an acceptance of the settlement offer from State Farm for lift station number 47.
Is there a motion? Mr. Manager, this is anything you want to explain?
Sure. On July 9th, 2013, a vehicle insured by State Farm struck and damaged a vehicle number 08142, 2000 Ford F-250. State Farm has offered to pay the city a net sum of $22,023 in full and final settlement of this claim. As a condition of the settlement offer, the city manager will be required to execute and transfer the title of the city vehicle, which is the subject of the matter, to State Farm as salvage.
Actually, Mr. Mayor, that was tab 8.
I'm sorry.
So, and then I'll take that one and we'll go back to...
Okay, so we just read tab 8. Is there a motion to move tab 8? Is there a second? Any questions? All in favor? Okay, tab 7, Mr. Manager.
On July 19th, let me just make sure I got the right one here.
I can do this. On July 19th, the
Vehicle insured by State Farm struck and damaged the city's lift station, number 47, as well as an FP&L transformer, causing damage to both. City Homestead presented charges of $62,973 to State Farm. State Farm policy has a property damage limit of $50,000 or less. State Farm has calculated the city's pro rata share of the damages at $43,500 and will tender the amount upon execution of a release in favor of their insured, releasing them from any further payments.
Is there a motion? Did we do it? We did it already. Tab, okay, so all in favor? Motion carries. Tab 9.
is the approval of construction of restrooms at Blakely Park.
Okay, tab 9 is
Construction of restrooms at...
Okay, I'm sorry. Is there a motion? Any questions on tab 9 motion? Is there a second? Second, okay, Ms. Waldman.
I met with Parks and Recs this week, and you know, just wanted to make sure that these, because Blakely Park isn't blocked off, we can't close that park at sundown. So that park is open all the time. So we just wanted to make sure for safety measures that, you know, that those bathrooms will be closed at a certain period of time. So I just wanted to make my fellow council members assured that they will be watched and there won't be, I can't really, Dennis, they're not going to be babysat all day long, right? But they will be monitored.
Councilwoman Walden, yes, we will have staff to check the bathrooms every day, daily, and once the park is closed, we close the bathrooms and lock it up to the public.
The reason I bring this up is that I've had, I personally witnessed something at Woodcott Park where there's a little guy there, and he wasn't accompanied by his parents, and there was just somebody hanging out in the park I didn't trust. So just the way he looked, and it worries me. It's worrisome to me sometimes with children and unattended bathrooms. So I just wanted to make sure that you knew that they will be closed, and also Dennis' crew was very smart. They had the openings made facing Redland Road, so they're visible. It's not like in Roscoe Warren Park where the bathrooms are kind of over to the side and you have to, you know, go around to get to them. So because this park isn't closed in, I just wanted to make sure you felt okay with it.
Okay, any final comments?
Yes. Where exactly will the bathrooms be placed?
Councilman Williams, at the park, it'd be inside the track area and the round part where the playground is at for the younger kids. It'll be towards the Curtis Ivy gym side of the park, and it'll be facing, the doors will be facing the Redland Road side. So the building will be facing in there.
Let me ask a question. I know we're dealing with restrooms, but how do we perhaps once a year clean some of that equipment out there that children play on, or what is the the toys and I take my son out to Whipcock, but the main are those, you know, I'd be thinking, I said, he's got his hands on all this stuff. I don't know who's been out here, but do we at some point in time clean the equipment out there? Because it does get dirty. That's a question.
Councilman Williams, what would it do? The staff every morning goes through there, do their inspections to make sure everything is clean and we don't have no vandalism every morning.
Right, I understand that. But what I'm asking is that over a period of time, the equipment starts to, through the elements of whatever. Yeah. We don't. I know they watch out. They say, but I know they ain't cleaning nothing.
Yes, we have our inmate crews pressure clean. If we notice any kind of mildew or any kind of dirt that we start getting built up, we start pressure cleaning.
Oh.
And what's good about that park, we also have the shade structures over it, which helps out a lot too.
Okay. All right. Well, that's one of my concerns. But we were talking about Lake Pride. Just want to know.
Okay. All in
Mayor,
favor? Yes, sir. I'm sorry.
Had some feedback. That was a good question, Councilman Williams, because I know in schools we have to maintain the equipment as far as the cleanliness of it, whether or not we see that there's buildup on it because of OSHA regulations and things of that sort. So perhaps we may want to consider putting a rotation in place to make sure that we wipe down and sanitize that equipment because it's heavily used out there, which is a great thing. Just have to make sure that it's very clean. And Councilman Wallman, I think that's phenomenal that you're proactive and kind of thought of safety measures as far as the restroom, because that was a question that I was going to ask as far as will they be locked, just to make sure that we don't have anyone sleeping in there at night and everything is just safe and secure over there. So I'm happy that plans are in place for that, and perhaps we can have a rotation schedule as far as going out there to make sure that the restrooms are clean and sanitized and free of vagrants that may be doing things that they shouldn't be in there.
Yes, ma'am. We'll look into that. Just to let you know, our staff is responsible when they're doing their park, when they're at that park, that make sure that we have all the supplies that are stocked and are available, and also to have it kept clean. And that's what their job is.
Okay. Any final comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Tab 10.
There's a motion proclaiming the month of March as Bike 105 month.
Is there a second? Any questions? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Tab 11.
Waiver of fees for the use of William Bill Dickinson Community Center.
Question. We've got it kind of set up so that the not-for-profits are allowed to proceed forward. Question would be is a resident. If a resident came forward and asked to use this facility, what process is there? Are they looked at any differently, or are they just another person?
Dennis?
By the code book, it says that, of course, we cannot waive fees. Council has to waive fees. So if a resident comes to us under Parks and Rec and asks us for a waiver of fees, we would present it to you, and you would have to make that call.
So generally, we've taken the philosophy that if somebody asks for something, we we don't make the policy decision, we bring it to you. On the other hand, if you decide downstream you want to set categories of what comes to you and what doesn't come to you, we're okay with that as well. But the general practice has been if somebody asks, we bring it to you and you decide.
And the only one that I remember with specifics was the concert, and the gentleman was a for-profit, and he wanted waiver of fees for Harris Field, I think. And I believe at that point, council's opinion was to try to look at more the not-for-profit issue. But I guess the question, you know, Kiwanis is a great organization. It's not about this. It's just it's a broader question. A not-for-profit from Timbuktu can come down and you know, use the facility, and there's wear and tear that's attributed to that. So I think I'm struggling. I think we probably all are struggling a little with how do we manage, you know, maintenance and repairs on these facilities and still have the ability to do the right thing. And you know, here you know, it's, you know, our taxpayers are the one that are actually funding the maintenance and the upkeep of these facilities, yet the exemptions don't even really go necessarily to the taxpayer or to the resident. They go to good causes, no doubt, but they don't necessarily, they're not even necessarily homestead causes. Does that make sense? So, I mean, that's just my struggle is kind of navigating and finding some way where we can get some reasonable return back to the maintenance of these facilities so that, I mean, we just, you know, put bathrooms in, that's new, but those bathrooms in 5 years they'll need to be replaced again, and we'll be right back where we are. So that's just my struggle with this whole waiver of fees process. But
Mayor, can I chime in? I hear what you're saying, and I view this differently. Let me give you an example. I have 2 items, E and F, that's coming up. I view it as if I am bringing an event, share or the CPR training to my residents of the area. They are going to be a direct benefit because we're serving people within the Homestead community. For Thanksgiving, I gave out 100 turkeys. They had to bring their ID to prove that they lived in the Southwest area in order to get a turkey and a full meal. And they lived outside but within Homestead city limits, and they had provided an address, they would just get a turkey. I make sure if I'm coming to you all for any kind of that I'm putting on, I make sure that the residents of this area is always 100%. And so I view it differently if one of us are doing an event that we're sponsoring for. But then somebody comes in and say, we're having an event and we want to waive the fees and it's going towards whatever. My question is always, well, how many of our residents, same thing that you're asking, that's paying for, are going to be direct benefactors of such services? And 9 times out of 10, you know, some of them don't live within the parameters of Homestead. But I'm agreeing with what you're saying. I think it needs to be looked at and evaluated. And then also there needs to be a distinction if we are bringing something to the board for waiver fees of the building, that it has to be direct impact to our residents. And that's how I look at it in judging whether or not to waive a fee.
And that's fair. Again, and I'm just trying to get a grasp on it. Vice Mayor?
Yeah, just we keep addressing these waiver fees for various use of facilities or parks or whatever the case might be. It seems like it's increasing every meeting now, whether it be a council meeting or a CAL meeting. We're having somewhere between 3 or 4 requests. So it went from being once every so often to now being a reoccurring multi-item theme. And I know that we as a council have spoken many times about this very issue as far as how do we establish a procedure, and then expressing the idea that we should establish a procedure or something to figure out how do we make these awards to various not-for-profit entities and what criteria, but we never have the conversation. We just say that we should have a conversation, but then we never actually address the issue. So I don't know, do we need to put this on the next committee of the whole and actually have staff come back with recommendations how other cities do this, hash it out, and put together a process that we can all stand behind, or at least the majority of us can stand behind, versus doing this on almost a every meeting basis now? And that's a question generally for the council, because we just repeat the same exercise every single meeting, it seems like now.
One thing that if you had the ability to limit your exposure of waiver of fees, as an example. So the city council decided that we were going to contribute back to the community a figure, say $50,000. Just pull the figure out. Once those $50,000 in fee waivers have taken place, that's what we're willing to give back as a community. Because if we don't have some sort of stopgap, you know, the one impact, one of these could be up to $4,000. So, I mean, and that's a great cause. Absolutely great cause. Should do it. But the next cause is just as good. The next cause is just as good. So if we had some way to at least cap our exposure, so our contribution back is this, we're going to give the taxpayer money back up, but we limit it. We have some sort of ability to stop. That's just a discussion point, because I agree with the Vice Mayor. We should come to some sort of grips with it, because now, as Mr. Williams, you know, said, council persons can bring it forward, but that's also going to be a heavy lift for all of us, because then we'll all be, you know, could be all accosted by all the not-for-profits, and then how do we individually choose? Because I agree with what Councilman's saying. So rather than discuss, I'd like to see, you know, if you guys have ideas as to how to address it, let's put it on a specific discussion, and let's come to some sort of idea of our commitment back, so that it's controllable, it's a budgeted, and we have some way to budget what we're doing. That may be an option, and we may not come to consensus, but I think it's some exercise that we need to go through. So, Mr. Manager.
We can survey other communities if you'd like.
Okay. Just give us some ideas, help us get some direction, help us get some arm around, you know, this situation that we're all in it. We're all stuck in it, and I think we're all looking for a way to control it, but we need a little help. We need a little broader discussion. Ms. Waldman.
First of all, I have a nonprofit, and I know it's not easy maintaining and setting up a nonprofit. You know, you have an accountant, you have, you know, all the things that are needed, and it isn't an easy process. However, two things I want to say. I agree with both Mayor and Councilman Williams. If the councilman is bringing forth a project that will benefit his community, then I think that's just a no-brainer. That's just what it should be. I also agree with Mayor, excuse me, getting over that laryngitis I had a few weeks ago, that it can get out of control, and Vice Mayor said the same thing. You know, it can get out of control. So if we did set forth a certain amount of money, then, for example, this Special Olympics that's on the agenda, they're not a nonprofit in Homestead, but I would certainly sponsor them, because I have a disabled child, and I support anything having to do to benefit, and it's going to be in Homestead. So if each one of us was allowed X amount of dollars, and we had to be the ones to sponsor or not sponsor, like recently, I don't even remember the last one I sponsored, but you know, I mean, if it's dear to you, and you're the councilman, you're the councilwoman, so on and so forth, if it's important to you and you bring it forward. But I also agree that it can get out of hand. I mean, you got everybody in the world coming to you. So that might be a solution, I don't know, but it would certainly be a way if each one of us were allotted X amount of dollars to use for what we felt it would be up to the people to come to us and ask to be the sponsor. And I may say no, Councilman Williams may say yes, but that's okay, because, you know, his interests might lie somewhere different than mine. But it is out of hand. It's every month we have something.
Well, let's let the manager do his exercise, Dennis, you do your exercise, because generally the majority of it is Parks and Recs related, because it's the facilities that everyone wants to use. So, and then we'll have we'll have some choices in front of us to look at, models to look at, and then we can come to some sort of hopefully some sort of ideas how to proceed. So, got off track. So we were on tab 12, tab 11, waiver of fees. We've had some comments. Any other comments? Is there a motion to waive the fees for the Bill Dickinson for Kiwanis? Is there a second? Moved and seconded. Any final discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Tab 12.
Waiver of fees for the use of the Mayor Roscoe Warren Park soccer field.
Okay, any questions, any discussion?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
My question to Dennis, I guess, would be, Dennis, I see they want it through the end of December on time-specific Thursday evenings from 3:30 to 5:30. Does that interfere with AYSO or any other organizations that come out there? I know because AYSO does train most nights out there during the fall time. So I was just wondering if that would inhibit their schedule or anything at this time that we know.
Councilman Burgess, now we're having the stadium back, AYSO will be at the stadium, so we shouldn't have a conflict at Roscoe Warren anymore, since they'll be playing at the baseball stadium now.
Okay.
So they will be covered. And to let you know, if you look inside the paperwork, this organization, he's a teacher at Homestead High, which will help out Homestead.
No, I understood. I just wanted to make sure that we're going to be overlapping and taking the field away from a paying organization that's been here for 18 or however many years. Tim's been running that here. So thank you.
You're welcome.
This is for the field. So this isn't a facility like a building that gets worn carpet and torn up. So to me, this is easy. This field is out there in the open all day long. So, and it's easy to support something like this. So, Mr. Williams, Ms. Beckler? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, thank you. Tab 13.
Waiver of fees for the use of FICO Williams Community Center.
Is there a motion?
This is me.
Mr.
Yours
Williams.
truly. Requesting, and which one is this one?
13.
13. Which event?
This
CPR
is
training?
the Pulse America.
Yes. As you all are quite aware, in reading Miami Herald, watching television, that on the, almost getting on the 826, there was a baby that stopped breathing on the highway. And there was this person that came by that knew CPR. The mother in the car did not know, and ended up saving the baby's life because they had practical training. And so this is very important, especially in the life of in which we live today, that everybody should be trained in CPR. And so hopefully you all would allow us to use the facility to cut the cost so that we can provide free spaces.
Moved by Councilman Williams. Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Tab 14.
Waiver of use fees for the use of FICO Williams Community Center.
Yes, thank you so very much. This is dealing with farm share, where we are proposing, we're going to give out 100 baskets for Easter to the residents within the life over there that farm share has so graciously committed to sponsoring me and the Southwest Advisory Committee to do such. So hopefully I have your favor on this particular rental usage.
Moved by Councilman Williams. Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Are we done?
Yes, we're done.
Vice Mayor?
I'm going to ask a question to staff about the paving that they're doing over here on Chrome Avenue on all the crossroads, because I noticed that they're repaving, but I don't know what the purpose is, and now there's nice little bumps at the entranceway to Chrome on every single road.
Yeah, that work there is part of the FDOT improvement project that they're doing on Chrome Avenue. That's just the first layer. There's another layer that's going to go on top of that, but they need to get the work done underneath the pavement before they put the final product up there.
All right, but it's
So in the
going to be
meantime, correct. In the meantime, they have temporary striping on there, Eventually, when they do the final lift, they'll put the after a couple of weeks after curing, they'll put the final perfect painting, etc.
Okay, thanks.
Mr. Burgess?
Yeah, just briefly, to staff, in case, I'm sure that it's been relayed by Mr. Brea. If you guys will remember, maybe a month and a half ago, I asked if we could get a letter of support to do a interlocal agreement about the light at Pacific Boulevard and 152. Well, the county has found money to do that without us having to put any money up for this year. So that project, we're hoping, will start by the end of, or middle of July, maybe the end of July, somewhere in there. So we won't need to have that letter made up by staff, and we won't need to hit our county commissioners up for any support, as the engineering department found the money for us down there to get started. Like I said, hopefully in July and August, and Mr. Bray may even have an update.
Just as an update, they already started the design process on that.
Right. So. But I'm talking about the actual physical work at the intersection. We're hoping we'll start before August. And they are doing the other improvements that I spoke about as we speak. They've started them. So,
Ms. Waldman?
Unfortunately, we've had 2 incidences now down at FICO Williams with the air conditioner units, and another one today, right, Dennis? Another one today, or yesterday?
Yeah, it was this morning. We had 2 more units taken.
So that's 5 air conditioning units,
5
right?
total.
5 total. And so I asked Dennis, we had a meeting yesterday, and I asked him to see if he could get us some quotes for the beams, you know, around there, because we've got to do something to stop this. And so we were able to get a quote today based on the old prices from, what, about 3 or 4 years ago?
Yes, I think we brought it up for CIP in the beginning of the year when we started the CIP projects, and that was one of them. It came back at almost $22,000.
Right. So at the next council meeting, if I'd like to ask permission to at least put it on the agenda for discussion, because we have to do something, and we've done everything we can, and if that's going to stop it, that's 5 air conditioner units within a week. And so it's like I said, and from what I could read, they're giving us the old price. Now, if we want to do this somewhere else, it's going to be a higher price, but they're holding to the old price. So I'd like to ask that we put it on the council for the following week. Okay?
There's no reason to put them back up there without some protection, because they'll be gone again. So, is that all, Ms. Waldman?
Let me ask, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Did we file an insurance claim on that, Dennis? David saying yes, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. We notified our risk manager, and then, of course, that'll be covered through the risk manager. We have already contacted a welding company, one of our vendors, and they're getting ready to make cages for all the units.
But, you know, we've got to start being more proactive. So, council next week, we'll have it on the agenda. And also, Mayor, I had a couple other things. I don't normally do this, but I'm going to tell you that Relay for Life and I and Major Kennedy, and by the way, congratulations, welcome back. Welcome back, welcome home. And Captain Tony Sencor in the back, congratulations. Well earned. But we're going to do a jail and bail for Relay for Life. And I don't know what day it's going to be yet, but just be prepared and have your checkbooks. I know where to find you, John. I know your schedule. And we'll have a minimum donation, hopefully, of $100, but if you can only raise $5, we'll still let you out. The jail will be here at the community center, and we'll let you know the date and everything, but it should be a lot of fun. I'm hoping we can get the press involved and maybe some of the news media, and that's for Relay for Life. And if you know of anybody that, and I'll announce this at the council meeting on television, but if you know of anybody that you just might not happen to care whether or not you suggest that they be arrested, I think it'll be a lot of fun for the community. Yes, you can. I think he's been nominated about 8 times so far, or at least 7 times so far, so he better bring a big checkbook. And we'll have a couple of cars out, and it'll be a lot of fun. And I think that is it, except that we also will be having a highway holdup for Relay for Life, and this is all because of Major Kennedy. I mean, he's back, and I really missed him, so thank you so much.
Can we use a city credit card for the get out of jail? That's a legal question? Absolutely, okay. Bring a card, have a card reader there, so. Julio, let me ask a question on 4th and Chrome, right there at the entrance to the historic district. That intersection is just demolished. Is any of that going to get improved with this improvement to Chrome?
That's actually part of the PD&E study that the state is doing now that will basically improve Chrome Avenue south of 288 all the way to where it meets US 1, and that includes that whole corridor. Basically, it goes all the way through our city,
all the way through
beyond Florida City, all the way to US where it meets US 1.
How far out to the east on that rough and
They usually go. I believe the standard is wherever the right of way is for Chrome Avenue there, that's where they'll take it to. If you see the improvements that they're doing now on the crosswalks, just today that they're repaving, that's about the distance that they're going to go out. It's about 25 feet on each side.
Maybe that'll get it. We'll see. Okay. Is there a motion to adjourn? Moved and seconded. Meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone.